Welcome back, friends, to Occultists Anonymous, sponsored by Roll20, the Onyx Path, and viewers like you. Thank you all for joining. It is a blast to have you here. We appreciate it, and welcome to the end of the spooky season. After this, all the spookiness goes away. We pack it up for the bunch of head shit. Never mind. We're gonna keep the spookiness, I guess. It's now part of the show. Spooky.
The necromancer is gonna put the spooky away. You okay?
You can do whatever you like, but Theo's kind of got it baked in, so.
Yeah.
Spooky.
So a special shout out to our patrons who support us monetarily. Spooky is right here. It's in the, yeah.
It's gonna be spooky.
Our patrons who support us, hang out, and give us a little of their well-earned, however you earned it. I don't know. I'm not going to ask questions. Money, we appreciate.
Ill-gotten gains.
Ill-gotten gains.
I don't know. We need to make a judgment value on the gains.
Yeah.
They're just gains.
Yeah. Tomb raiding, plundering,
That's a good time.
Thank you to Adele,
belong in a museum.
Al, Alexander, Angvalith, Bernie, Blood Angel, Brendan, Buck, Daniel, Doc the Undead, Doggo DeLoon, Emil, Funzusu Ali, George, Jack, Jenny, John, Josh Julian, Camo Ho Ho Ho.
Oh yeah.
Way too early.
Wait, was that Jack, Josh, Julian all one name?
No, that's like...
No. Okay.
George, Jack, Jenny, John.
There's a string of them that has gone unchanged, and it just flows. But yes, Camo, too early for the Christmas jokes. Stow it. Cat Feathers, meet me at thecrossroads.com. I imagine is the rest of that there. Michael, Milo V3, Ms. Grumpy, Moku, Mozart D Minor, Noba, Other Michael, Pants Free Council, Perry, Philip, Puppeteer, Riafia, Ryan, Sheksara, Cinna, Slayer, Talk to the Chthonian.
That didn't come through at all.
It's fine. They probably got it. You guys didn't have to suffer. Talk to the Chthonian, Taryn, Thomas, Toast, Usuf Sama, Vortex, and Zoltan. Thank you all very much for your support. It means a lot to us.
It really does.
Yeah, it's very, very good. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Crazy Man. I know it's just the Legba reference, but it just seems such a perfect email. It's meet me at thecrossroads.com.
It's real good. Yeah. If any of y'all are fans of Bone Thugs and Harmony, I'm definitely singing that song in my head every time.
Unfortunately, and because I know somebody's gonna yell at me. No, it doesn't mean anything to me. Sorry.
It's all right. It's okay.
Yeah.
It's okay, Drew.
Yeah, Willow is on my list. The whole Miyazaki stuff, they're on my list.
You can skip Willow. What? You can skip Willow.
I can skip Willow? I don't know. Craig may kill me if I skip Willow. So
you can skip Willow. You can skip Willow. The things I like about Willow, but it's overblown. It's overblown.
How did we go from Bone Thugs and Harmony to
just the list of things that I'm just
supposed to see?
He hasn't consumed.
People have judged me for. Yeah.
I mean, those things live next to each other in my brain, but I didn't assume that was true for anyone else.
Good stuff. Glad to have you all here. Let's get into this. So when we last left the Coven, they actually hadn't done anything. We kind of got caught up on the year in Purgatory Bluff, settling into a new normal, and trying to figure out how to separate sleeper personas with their true mageness. Which I actually am realizing just now that our overlay probably needs to get everybody's shadow names and real names kind of like in an alternating thing. I got to figure out how to do that, but I bet I can figure it out. Because when we talk about John Paul or Legba, hopefully everybody can figure out who we're talking about.
You mean Cloak or Legba? Because as we made clear, Jean Paul is the guise he goes under when talking to others.
That's true.
That don't recognize his true self, which is now Cloak and then Legba.
And Legba is the shadow name. That's very true. But we pick up here late to mid-afternoon at the tavern because much as Sheriff Isabel has been doing a good job for the past, what do you say, 4 or 5 months?
Yeah, tops.
There's...
I don't think it's a full-time job.
No,
right?
It's not a full-time job. It definitely doesn't have... There's no jail cell. There's not yet. There's not much need for it. Most of the time it's, did you steal this thing? Okay, give it back or pay them for it. You know, a lot of stuff is handled probably in some form or fashion of exile, or for a lot of the miners, fortunately, it's a, you know, hey, you're going to be confined to you know, militarily confined to quarters, and you're just going to work, you know, as kind of a employee, well, a professional style of disciplinary action, you know, because that's the only real way to, you know, punish somebody around here, because again, there's no jail cell, and you know,
there could be,
right, and that's the thing. Currently there's no need for that, you know. Even if, you know, somebody gets, you know, super drunk at the tavern, generally speaking, it means, okay, well, let's drag him home and toss him on their porch or into their house, you know, kind of thing. It's not, you know, you don't necessarily just, oh, well, we're going to put them in a cell to sober up. There's usually somewhere to put somebody. And you don't have enough visitors in town where somebody is completely isolated from a place to stay. But yeah, sorry, we pick up mid-afternoon as Howard Gleason, one of the miners, is at the tavern talking to Sheriff Isabel. I don't know necessarily if this is held in your rooms, or outside, you know, in the hallway outside them, or at a table or something like that.
Probably at a table.
Okay. And is explaining that Sheriff, that I'm telling you, I know John took my stuff. And I don't imagine Isabel's the one to kind of take notes. But yeah.
I mean, she asked questions,
right,
certainly.
absolutely. But yeah, I mean, like literally physical notes. But yeah, Hayward basically is, you know, he's got a collection of cash that he's been made, because Hayward's getting ready to leave town. He's been working hard for maybe 3 months now, and he's got a pretty sizable worth of cash that he's basically taken from the company, Warner, however, you know, things get paid out over there, and is getting ready to leave. The next ship comes in, and now it's all up and gone, and he's pretty sure that John took it. John Queeman, another one of the miners on a different shift. And that's kind of,
all right.
Yeah, that's kind of your...
How much?
Go ahead.
How much money are we talking about there, Howard?
Right about $100.
That is a big sum.
You know, and Hayward is a guy you recognize as a miner. You've never seen him down at the tavern.
He doesn't come and spend it anytime.
Right? No,
Yeah.
he has been, and he's late 50s. Like one of the older guys at the mines, and he's
ready to retire.
He's ready to be done and find some place, and you know.
Right.
But yeah, he keeps talking about going back to Kentucky.
All right. Well, I will swing on up and start having a chat with, well, I guess John and anybody else you might consider, other bunkmates or anything like that might be on the short list for what might have stolen your money.
Yeah, and Hayward is on first shift. He's well, actually, no, he's not. John is on first shift. Hayward is a third shift. So Hayward is under Marina, and John would be under Edgar Furnace, and is currently working now. So yeah, you definitely know where John should be.
Mm-hmm. All right.
And so you're headed up to the mines. Okay, cool. And as we, get the camera pan as Sheriff Isabel, who basically looks like Isabel, just now, do you always carry the guns as... Yeah, okay. It's got her her 2 pistols.
Yeah, they're openly on big, like, slung
Like the crossed belts.
belts, like crossed belts. They're hooked around the sort of good hip set that her dress gives her.
Gotcha.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of confused looks from probably men and women, but probably majority of the men. It's like, hang on, hips, but also guns. How do I feel about this? So we have the camera pan over to Gisela, though probably more accurately Arachne, within her rooms. Dad is up at the mines, and you've been studying and planning some stuff. And is there how do you plan on going about this when Dad comes down in, at this point now, hour or 2 from now?
I don't know. I was basically going to be in the evening, let him sort of relax and just sitting around and spinning yarn in the living room while we're all in there.
Mm-hmm. Gotcha.
And while I'm doing that, I'm going to be attempting to sort of scrub out part of his fate.
Sure. Yeah, kind of clean some of the, next day or 2 or something like that. I really like that. Do you think that's going to be like a ritual cast that, like, I'm casting magic right here in the living room over a ritual duration and nobody's knowing because you're not using any obvious stuff? Or do you think it's just going to be a instant cast kind of thing?
Yeah, no, probably that, because I feel like this is going to be somewhat time consuming. I want to do it carefully.
Mm-hmm.
Like, in my head, I was saying it's like a lice comb.
Mm-hmm.
Scrubbing through and trying to just sort of pick them out.
Remove the nits.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So yeah, I really dig that. So yeah. A ritual duration then.
Yeah, and I was using the spinning wheel as the yantra, sort of.
Cool. Yeah. No, I love that. And definitely probably your shadow name, because you
The
only have
threads of fate.
What was that?
The threads of fate.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah. Of all the characters, it's definitely Arachne and Legba who have got some really clear shadow name vibes going on. Baba Sarah, I think, pulling up the rear, but Petrichor, I mean, there's no mythical character for Petrichor, so that's going to be just developed all on her own. So cool. Yeah, if you want to write that up, we'll cast that. Here in an hour.
Yeah, for this spell, I was just doing it as like a Fate 3.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like perfecting is what I'm trying to do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and if or reinforcing or however you want to look at it. But yeah, I think Fate 3 is the right vibe, and also kind of gives the idea that this is a more recent thing that she's able to pull off after working with Red. Cool. And then we cut over to potentially, and let me know what your guys' plans are. Legba and Baba Sarah down in the chambers, or are we picking up with Legba, Cloak arriving? And I'm going to lean on Craig here because this is more or less your show, with Legba being the guest star here.
I think we can probably show up downstairs.
Cool.
And down big spooky vibes. There's a summoning circle and all kinds of bone trinkets and stuff sort of draped on the walls and shelves, and some fluids that you probably don't want to know exactly what's in the jar, that kind of thing. And Theo says, "Thanks a lot for coming. I don't really know what to do. I had a visit, but we don't see eye to eye on things."
What do you mean?
She wants me to be more active and aggressive and assertive.
She?
He, they, To the point where I'm imposing my will on other people.
Oh.
And I think you and I both have some sort of history with those sorts of situations, and I don't want to become that.
I
And I don't know
appreciate
how
your
to resolve
reluctance.
that. What's that?
I appreciate your reluctance.
I mean, if I give into that, then how am I any better than the Dawn that owned my mother? I don't want to take that path, and I don't know how to. She's very insistent, and it's hard to concentrate, and it changes, is like continually intruding into my thoughts and mind, and so we need to do something, but I don't know what.
May I ask you an operative question? I can think of a few simple outcomes for a journey and an engagement with your daemon. And you notice that Legba's now using the terminology that the daimon provided to him, or provided to everyone. And part of that is, brief aside, so that he can distance himself from his concepts of Vodou, so that he can use those terms exclusively in the context where he is doing Vodou with the members of Les Enfants. All right, so Cloak says to you, one option is to limit your daemon's influence on your psyche. It doesn't solve the immediate problem of them in having a difference of opinion or perspective, but it alleviates your discomfort and allows you to concentrate without them trying to influence your choices. The other option, which may be a little more challenging, because let's remember that you're in effect negotiating with yourself, is to actually try to empathize with what they want you to do. And the way to do that is to open yourself up to them more in the astral and potentially surrendering control.
Maybe things will be clearer inside. I don't know that this is a negotiation situation. It got heated and ugly when I went in on my own.
Oh. How did you engage them?
Well, I tried to make my case, and they became insistent, and eventually we both became frustrated, and I flat out refused. And then, for lack of a better word, I ran. They're in control in there in ways that I don't think I can be.
Well, there are ways that you can be in control. Although it is a realm of mind, it is your mind and soul. And they are a guardian of that place. They're responsible for its care and its integrity. And that is intrinsically dependent upon you being around.
I know that we need each other, but I don't know how to resolve this conflict.
Okay. Well, I'm grateful you invited my assistance, and I'm happy to help in whatever way it turns out to be best. I would recommend that as we approach this, you assume that you are going to have to make a concession to at least attempt to understand their perspective.
But that's the thing, is I do understand it.
Ah. I misunderstood.
Like I want to do the things that they want me to do, but I'm choosing not to. And that's where we're at a disagreement.
You think there is a way that you could more assertively exercise your will on the world without falling prey to the same temptations as the person who owned your mother?
Well, let's have a talk and see if that's... I'm expecting that this isn't going to be a discussion.
Well, I've learned that sometimes when people are unwilling to talk, it's often because they believe that they can exert undue influence on someone, and that person has to listen. And if you equalize a situation, then they're more receptive to conversation.
Which is why I brought you.
Well, I think we can make something happen for you. Both.
All right.
Because I'm sure, before we enter, that we'll learn quite soon that they're hurting. They feel they've been cast off. They've been harmed and haven't received their due recompense for the trauma they've suffered. In your stead, by your side, when all the things that happened to you happened to you.
All right.
So, quick aside for Craig, because I had forgotten, leaving your own Oneros is a reflexive action. So you can leave whenever. Somebody else in your Oneros still has to do the resolve plus composure or the other methods that we talked about to leave. For both of you...
Soul shock, jump out.
Yep. Did you say cyberpunk? What? But yes, both of you can go ahead and roll resolve plus composure. I know that there is a bunch of bonuses that Legba has for doing so, which could mean an exceptional success. You may arrive before Baba Sarah. So
that's always fun.
Right. The one thing I will say is that you can definitely be like, no, hang on, I'll drag my feet and show up later.
Yeah. So what I was going to suggest, out of character, because it's a more mechanistic thing, is that we jump into my Oneros, which is intrinsically safer, and then reach across in the bridge that I established we could do before. And if I cast telepathy, then our minds are linked, and it makes it a lot easier for us to journey at the same time.
You can do that narratively. At the for our purposes, it will be the same thing because you're using the domain, and the domain is a direct link into her Oneros.
Okay, fantastic.
Yeah.
All right, excellent. Because that's what I'd like to do. That way, we don't end up with the same problem as before. Remember, he was able to cross over, proved that he could do that, but then somebody with a shotgun came out of a carriage, and so he's like, I told you before that I wouldn't come back.
Right.
So it wouldn't be good if he came back.
And just throwing back to the first series, like that was totally weird.
Oh,
and Tommy Gun Travis, that was awesome.
It's great. All right. Resolve composure plus
and
3.
While you guys are rolling that, Ash, if you want to go ahead and roll your cleaned fate spell.
Yeah, I was trying to figure out, like, I guess it's probably potency. But for reach,
Yes.
I have range. I don't know if I need any other ones.
And you technically don't even need range because you can just lay your hand on him at one point at the end of the spell, effectively.
Okay, so basically, like, cast it while I'm spinning, and then get up and go just sort of touch him as I'm walking by to release.
Of the ritual. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yep. Yeah. Technically, you could do this with no reach. Now, I would suggest probably in my head, this is and this is a good thing we should definitely discuss. I'm imagining this as a potency thing in order to improve it, and then it's going to last, because again we're talking about the symptoms thing, is going to last for a duration.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Like, yeah, it's going to be a potency spell. So I guess I would want to just take advanced duration. Does that give me the?
That would give you a day, or excuse me, an hour. And so that would give him,
Okay.
that would kind of restore his fate for an hour.
If I do it with the -2, that's a whole day.
And then a -4 is a whole week. You've got
For Yantra bonus, I have Shadow Name and I have the
the loom.
spinning. Yeah, as plus that gives me 2.
I'm yeah, definitely good. Because your shadow name is still just 1 dot, right? Yep. So yeah, you have additional bonuses if you want to do longer than an hour, and then yeah, it would be -4 for a week or -2 for excuse me. Yeah, and -2 for a day.
Yeah. If I do -4, I'm still rolling 6 dice, so I think I'll go for that.
Okay. Yeah, you're muted.
Wouldn't the Cabal work here too?
Doesn't that count as a separate yantra, or does it go with your shadow
It ties
name?
on top of shadow name, and yeah, I think
It amps your shadow
because
name.
even
The
though
same
this is a
yantra.
personal
Specifically
thing,
tied into helping
This
the
is somebody
It's
in the
helping
town.
people.
protecting, helping the town. Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay. Yeah, I didn't include it because I didn't know if it was like counted as a second.
it amplifies the persona yantra. Yep.
Okay, so that gives me 7 dice then.
Mhm. Then we're going to talk about what's going on with Theodosia.
She's reluctant to return.
7 dice, no successes.
Wow. Okay. Which I think narratively we'll talk about a little bit, but I think it's this spell isn't coming together the way I thought it would. I'll have to try in another hour or maybe tomorrow or something like that.
I mean, I'm probably just gonna try again.
And that's
3
fine.
more
I'm just-
hours.
It's just because it's a ritual, so it's going to take you another hour, and I'm totally cool with it.
Takes 3 hours.
Yeah, 3.
Until you get to
yes,
Gnosis 3.
that's true. Thank you. We're not all at Gnosis. Actually, nobody's at Gnosis 3.
I just
Okay,
haven't
well.
spent it until I'm officially a part of the legacy.
That's going to be a try again tomorrow thing then, because
Gotcha.
I don't have another 3 hours tonight.
Yeah, that's true. So yeah, you spend all your evening time relaxing and working through this loom, and then that didn't quite work the way I was hoping to. I dig that. So yeah, I do like Ralph's comment there about Theodosia not wanting to actually return. And you can go ahead and just go ahead and roll again, Craig.
Gonna take another hour.
Mm-hmm.
But it's phenomenological time, so who knows?
Yep.
You spending willpower, Craig?
I did.
Oh, man.
Really trying to get through.
That's great.
Yeah. And yeah, I dig this idea of
It was needed.
basically going to Legbuzz Oniros to start off and getting on board the ship, and I kind of imagine this stance that Legba has, because it's Legba, right? Pulling back this curtain and just come on, and like I don't know. Yeah, Boba says like maybe not. Maybe they're probably busy. Get over here.
Another time. All right, so it's time to put on
Oh boy.
the shadow name.
Yep.
And in order to make it distinct so it's recognizable to anybody watching, whether or not I'm in the astral or in meat space,
Oh no.
I have a purple top hat for the astral.
Oh boy.
Oh god. Oh
Yes,
damn.
indeed.
That's a good purple too.
Oh yeah, it's a good one.
That's
I like
that's
it.
Willy Wonka levels of purple.
Oh, it's
I've
distinct.
got Keith David's voice in my head all of a sudden.
I love it. So yes, the two of you step through to basically a Roma caravan circle. You're approaching it from the outside. The wagons, quite literally, have been circled. This is where the term comes from. If any of you are un-American and aren't familiar with the term, both for the Roma and for West. Thank you. Circling the wagons, people keeping an eye out. But there's also clearly numerous paths going off in all sorts of different directions. And, variety of horses that are kind of is it picket?
Yeah.
Set there for you innately know, for you to take anywhere else from here. Notably, while there is a roaring, like, kind of bonfire thing, and there's the sign that people live here, there is nobody here. It is kind of... It doesn't have, like, some horror movie desolate, something has happened to these people. It's just nobody's here right now. And this is just kind of its natural state, though, compared to, Legbuzz, what do we say, Port-au-Prince? It's a little less active and lively and welcoming.
Well,
This is
Lake
not what I
returns
was
to Theo.
expecting.
What were you expecting?
That there would be folks with guns inside the circle.
When I visited, there was one wagon with somebody who was very disappointed that I wasn't you, and I came rapping on the door of the carriage.
Can I take a peek on the inside? Is there really no one there?
Correct. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and this to kind of for Craig's purposes, this is the front stage of your Oniros. This is what it was before. You had to go digging around and going through some memories and some aspects to even have that first conversation with your daemon. Your last visit here was not necessarily super traumatic. The daemon didn't throw you into a lot of your trauma so much as really try to stoke your anger up.
Mm-hmm. Should we take a horse?
Yes, let's.
All right. I'll pick a likely looking horse, probably a pale one.
Sure, Baba Sarah. Yeah, you guys mount up. Actually, does Legba have a preference in Jose the horse?
Equine.
I mean, Cloak really likes horses, right? So, yeah, he would go for any horse that looks like it is less ridden less often.
Sure. And yeah, where off do you head?
Oh, actually, you know what? No, what he does is he before choosing a horse, he pauses, right, stroking like the muzzle of one of the horses, and he turns to Theo and says, "The horses here are just a metaphor for transportation, and you should be directing our voyage. So I'm going to ride on the horse with you."
Okay.
Definitely make sure you don't get split up accidentally too.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. And yeah. Baba
See, this is why I brought you along. You're much cleverer at this sort of thing than I am.
And what path does Baba Sarah head down?
The darkest one is probably one that's leading to this really creepy, sort of overgrown, Sleepy Hollow sort of.
Oh
path.
yeah. And yeah, you make your way down into it was this big open prairie, but somewhere Sleeping Beauty's angry, scary, spooky forest suddenly shows up, or actually probably more Snow White. She's the one who gets accosted by weird trees. Yeah, it drags you in, and very quickly you feel memories resurfacing up around you, and you can see probably one of your, not necessarily earliest memories, but one of your young, like, childhood memories that really stood out. And clearly this is not the path to anger so much as probably more sorrow, and some of those first experiences seeing your mom mistreated, not just a slave, but the level of physical mistreatment. And I don't necessarily know, I'm gonna go check Conca, but a specific event that may have necessarily happened. And obviously we don't need to dig heavily into anything specific.
So if we're doing this based on my story, this would be a secondhand memory. This would be stories that Theo's mother told her about, because Theo was born after she escaped.
Thank you. Yes.
So
you get it stylized. You get the childhood amplified, Disney but not Disney kind of characterization of stuff. And so you have the Dawn, who is large and rotund, standing high and mighty over top, Valosia, not necessarily senior, but the original, your mother. Just for clarity's sake, in case anybody's joining us, Valosia is is also the name of Theo's daughter. So we have Valosia and Valosia Stokes, who is the daughter. Young, 17, 18 Valosia. Because I'm trying to do the math here.
So 17, 18-year-old. For a second there, I was like, 17, 18?
No.
Quite a long time.
Time travel.
Wrong Acanthus. Wrong. But yeah, so this would have been, before, she was pregnant or anything like that. And so, this, caricature of, because I'm trying to see here, I would imagine she worked within the house, and just having, the Dawn probably just kind of lingering, in this particular memory, obviously, this image of, I guess we're into, it's horror time, this monster watching from doorways and things like that. So this is one of those things of where within the Oneros, it's like, do you step into the memory and influence it and push it forward, or do you basically sit and watch it happen? And I do love the mechanics for this, wherein if we sit and watch it, then time drags on. But if you actually participate within, then you can kind of speed things along and change things to kind of get out and move past.
I think Theo would step into it. She knows this isn't real. This is her childhood self filled in these blanks.
Right.
Because her mother didn't have perfect recall to give us, so she knows all these details aren't real.
Yeah, and none of this looks like, even within the Oneros, none of it looks real. Your mother looks like effectively Disney princess. This Dawn is the shadowy figure villain, in the corners, and everything is just amped up. Since I don't have a description of the Dawn, we're imagining, creepy twirly, mustache and, all the classic, villain vibes to him. And so you step forward into the dream. We're going to suggest that Legba is obviously drawn in just as well. So the two of you basically stand in the hallway of this gorgeous, opulent, but oppressive Spanish, you say, villa? What's the term I'm looking for here? Yeah. And, the monstrous, and, gold encrusted, right? Dawn kind of pulls back and kind of looks at the two of you, and for the sake of us, as we were watching this and participating, speaks in Spanish, but we get subtitles. And, you get a, who the hell are you?
And just casually over her shoulder, she'll say to Legba, the wife will be here somewhere. She's the real threat. Theo will step forward and say, I'm a visitor, don't you remember?
Presence plus persuasion. Yeah, or actually, this being the astral, you can use any of your top stats. Well, no, excuse me, not all of your top stats. Sorry, Songbird. Intelligence or presence plus persuasion.
Yeah, this is gonna go good. I can just see it.
Oh yeah, it's good.
Why won't you select?
Don't know. Roll 20. Don't do this to us. Not now.
Oh, it's doing it, just not highlighting it. Hey.
All right. Yeah, and very. This is a very kind of flex of the dreamscape around you, plus the actual persuasion of it, and like the both of you are suddenly dressed in comparable fashion to the dawn, and kind of looks and excuse me, sorry, a momentary slip of my mind. What were we discussing? Kind of motions to like a lounge space, away from this random hallway where one of his slaves is cleaning and working, and drawing you two away.
Can I imagine like a glass of brandy or something in Theo's hand?
Oh yeah, sure.
Yeah, so just sort of takes a sip. You were lamenting to me about the that you have a favored servant, but your wife dislikes her.
And this is the moment where Drew was like, "Oh wait, hang on." Yep, remembering. Not that necessarily.
No, and this all still fits because in Theo's mind, this guy is still a freaking.
Right. Yep.
Yeah.
And yeah, there's definitely the flick of his eyes over to your Disney princess Cinderella, right? And he says, "Yes, it's a it's a terrible thing when one's eyes are, I don't know how you would put it, distracted from one's wife." All right, we're gonna go there. Much as Drew hates being this guy, but it's like oh yeah, these Roma women, they're so distracting, and it's their fault. Don't be that guy, motherfuckers.
Exotic beauty and all sorts of other cliches.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So Theo takes a moment to try and steady herself by taking another sip, and then says, "I could take her off your hands."
And yeah, there's this look about as he's, seeing an opportunity to, save face. At this point, I'm sure the Don knows what he has done. I couldn't burden you with, a hindrance like that, but a gift, I guess. If you take her away.
I'm definitely going to have need of help. I'm setting up a new in the Northern Territories. I'm setting up a new stead there, and I could use the help.
And kind of looks to Legba, or just we're just gonna go through and just make this guy a real piece of work, and says, is this all right? Kind of assuming, actually, it's true. Legba stepping in and has this moment of setting up his own character within this story. What kind of guise is Legba put on, much as Theo put on a Donna's kind of vibe? Where does Legba?
Legba looks like a kept man.
A dandy? No, probably not.
No, Legba looks like he is. Is he gonna adopt a different racial guise? This is what Legba looks like. Legba looks like he's standing in deference to Doña Theo now, right? Back a pace, and looks like he is learning things from her. His posture is one of study.
Right. Kind of leaned in a little bit.
And deference, indeed. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, in holding, I'll say holding a ledger in addition to the cane,
Yep.
which I don't think he can get rid of considering his shadow self.
Right.
So,
but kind of nods, as like, and it's the definite, Don is like, are you writing this down? Do you have this? Okay.
I have.
And, and motions the two of you, out of the hallway, and, let's discuss, and snaps his fingers, for more drinks, or something like that. And with that snap, the dream kind of falls and fades away as whatever was going to happen, whatever, interactions and escalations has been kind of dissolved and distracted. And you guys move forward into, this dreamscape. I'll pause there while my brain works. And I jump over to my other brain. And we have Sheriff Isabel arriving up at the mines, where you have the cacophony of work sounds, you have people moving in and out, you've got carts that are, being pulled out with, the silver and, loaded up into boxes and crates to be shipped out and processed elsewhere. Because I can't remember who it was who brought that up in Discord, but yeah, definitely silver, definitely not getting processed here. And
just think what it would do to the river.
Oh, that's true.
Oh, man. The tailings.
You thought the Purgatorio was pissed before. Yep.
Shit.
So kind of breaching in my head, because we haven't really talked about it. I always have envisioned this like tarp tent kind of covered workspace that's very like open air, so it's all very transparent and everybody can see what everybody's doing, because this is the silver that's being handled, and you've got the various guards, and there's the two sharpshooter guards who were down episode or 3 ago.
Sure.
This is where they're usually overseeing this stuff being moved around. It's only the more trusted older miners who are now older or more experienced, more trusted, who are handling this stuff and getting everything boxed up and weighed out. And one of them, sees Sheriff roll up and, kind of there's a back and forth with a lot of these guys, because some of them from the horse stuff, and working
right.
up, and now you're the sheriff and you're a woman, but at the same time, some of them know, no, Isabel's a bit of a badass. Have you seen her shooting? Yeah. So there's this level of, a couple different levels.
Yeah,
of
I
it.
think, especially over the last, the lead up to becoming sheriff, it was this Isabel being exactly as competent as she needed to be. It's like, oh, can I shoot a gun? Yeah, sure. Here, I'll hit a target. Whereas she knows damn well she could blast the target with every bullet in both guns.
Right. Be far more
right.
aptitude, inept, yeah, apt Apt. That's the one. And so yeah.
So it's that sort of like built-in drive that she has to always leave room for someone to underestimate her.
Right. So yeah, there's definitely some of the guards who are more than happy to do that, and some of them who are like, nah, no, she's the real deal. One of the former is who's seeing you now, the little bit of smirk on his face, and Sheriff Isabel, a little bit of the word in his mouth, and what brings you up this way?
Oh, swinging by on a. I guess you'd call it an investigation.
Immediately he nods. Hayward got to you.
He asked me to poke my nose in it. Yep.
Yeah, we already searched through John's stuff. And you're about to turn the barracks upside down, so I don't know what he's done with it, but I think he's lying. He's got it hid somewhere.
Who does?
In context, he's talking about Hayward.
Oh, okay. A little bit of I don't know that would make much sense.
Well, I think he's trying to get John in trouble before he leaves. Poor Hayward's gonna head off. His pocket's empty, and all because John picked on him and took his stuff.
I mean, what does that get Hayward? He's already planning on leaving.
He doesn't like John. The two of them have been back and forth for as long as Hayward's been here. I don't know how it started, but
yeah, I don't know the man very well. It's not one of my clientele.
Yeah, he didn't pal around with anybody. He just, he was a good worker as far as we knew, but yeah, came, worked, did his thing, slept, read books, never went out drinking, went to church every Sunday, but otherwise, yeah, he was just by himself. I don't know how he and John got into things, but...
Well, let me go talk to Furnace and Marina and see if we can't figure out what's what.
Sure. I think Marina's probably still sleeping, so she's, points down to one of the section of Purgatory Bluff as it has grown. This little, it's almost an apartment block of these fairly small homes that some of the miners have put together with Enright's permission. And there's a small block of these folks who are willing to pay rent to Warner, notably Furnace, Marina, and oh my god, what is his name? The third gentleman. Connections.
I almost had it, and then it's gone.
Tahoma Ramos. The three of them were given apartments just because, you're the leads.
Right. It's part of your salary.
Right. So no reason for them to have to pay. So Marina's still over there, and then obviously Furnace is in working. Or supervising, really.
I know better than to interrupt the shift while it's going on, but I know better than that to interrupt Marina sleeping. So.
Yeah. Now, that said, you do know that the shift should be ending in the next hour or so.
Sounds good. Is Hayward here?
Actually, that's up to you. You could have left him there at the tavern saying, hey, let me go talk to people, or he's tagging along. One to see justice done, kind of thing.
I would ask him to see his bunk and stuff like that.
Yeah. So,
and how John might have had access to it and what might have happened, and better idea of where a hiding place might be and stuff like that.
Yeah. So you guys head over after chatting with unnamed guard number 7 over to the barracks where, because absolutely no way Hayward is spending money on rent for one of the little apartments, and takes you over to his bunk, which the barracks is a fairly large space, but it's not in any way very private. There's, at this point now, I imagine some like bunk bed kind of setups, and everybody's got a big chest of personal effects, and you can see every one of them's got some kind of padlock on it, or is currently open because the owner is nearby. Basically a couple change of clothes, personal effects, and stuff like that. Nobody's really got, big rooms for other possessions. Everything is, more, use and discard kind of stuff. But yeah, so Hayward takes you down to his bunk. Bottom bunk has a chest, holds up, it's the only key, undoes a big sturdy looking iron lock, undoes it, flips open the chest. Inside he's got, here, clothes, he kind of dumps the whole thing out, kind of a bit dramatically, but yeah, clothes, a Bible, a couple small little personal effects, a wedding ring that he doesn't wear. And that's it. He doesn't really have much in terms of other personal effects. Definitely similar to many of the other miners, came here with the clothes on his back, and that was it. And dumps it out, slides it over to you. He says, I can show you John's, and he's pointing basically not down the barracks, but like if you imagine them up against the walls, he's on, John is across the way. So it's like, oh,
across the aisle.
This is likely why
they're neighbors.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep.
Now, which one of y'all snores started this problem? I don't actually say that. Now, Hayward, y'all already had a little bit of poking around and everything, I understand.
Talking about like the guards looking into stuff. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, Hayward nods. Yeah, nobody wants to believe me. I haven't been here as long as John. Everybody trusts John.
All right. And so, what all did they check? Just everyone's trunk, or
went through my stuff.
we
Went through
look at
John's stuff.
mattresses, pillows.
Yeah. Well, sorry. This is me pausing a sec, thinking how thorough the guards probably were. Yeah. So probably like tossed it through their chests. Pulled out pillows, looked through stuff. Squeezed and like didn't like literally rip open the mattress.
Mm-hmm.
But went through the very, at least, surface level kind of stuff. Now, obviously they didn't go, looking around for freshly dug holes or anything like that.
Sure. With forces in life, would I be able to sort of rig up a rudimentary sort of, not echolocation, but like when you knock on something to hear a hollow, just being better at that with just ruling?
Specifically being better at like telling the difference?
Yeah, being able to note like where the hollow might be and stuff like that.
I think so.
Yeah, because Forces 2 has got control sound, which you can use to give yourself like a big bonus of potency to do hearing-based perception and stuff like that. So figured something like that.
Life, I'm sure you can do some kind of heightened senses, as Twitch has suggested. Right. So yeah, either one.
Is heightened senses at 2 or 3?
I'm not 100% sure.
Heightened senses is 1.
Oh, yeah.
Gives potency to perception.
Yeah, okay.
Oh, yeah. Because the last time we used it was just to make a really good party.
Yeah. Coke had a good time, and then he pet some dogs. And then he went back to the party, of course.
And while you're writing that up, we'll jump back over into the Oneros as Legba and
You
Baba
want to briefly figure out So you really briefly visit Gisela before we jump into the Oneros? Considering how you've been cycling it before?
Issue. Well, actually, because actually, you can just go ahead. Oh no, that's right. We were talking about it being tomorrow. So.
I was wondering if I do it without a ritual and just sort of like just try to do it again.
Yeah, absolutely. You'll roll the full thing, but you will be doing a little bit of paradox. Is all. Because you'll be overreaching a little bit. But yeah.
You like the sort of frustrated, like, damn it, I just spent 3 hours.
Yeah, that's what I was
I
thinking.
need
Just
to
sort
know.
of in the frustration and it didn't work. Just do it again. Yep. Do it now.
Right now. Cool. So for that, we roll 1 paradox. Nothing. So, and you can go ahead and roll your full dice.
And it's
the full set.
7?
Because at this point, you're not rolling the ritual again. You're rolling this.
It's counting as a new spell.
I'm fine with that.
Cool.
Yeah.
Okay.
Four successes. Much better.
Yes.
Yeah. It's like, okay, no more rituals, more frustrated spell casting.
Can I have my willpowers back?
Willpowers?
I spent 2 of them because my virtue is determined.
Oh. Yeah, I think I'm actually okay with that, especially, I mean, you're not risking a ton of paradox, but there was a possibility. Yeah, I'm okay with that. Restoring, and that is a reminder once a chapter, so that is, I guess once a session. And
I never figured out how long chapters are.
They're
I think it's twice a session. I think it's twice a session, and then Vice is once a scene.
Thank you. Yes. But
okay, yeah.
Lay the spell over your dad and kind of sit back, and now it's, as Rilla has been prodding probably all of you about, now it's time for the scientific observation part of, now that I've done this, what happens, kind of thing.
So he should have a week without
With
little awful fairy moths eating away at his fate. It should be just normal luck. Not good luck. Just,
that's your
just
hypothesis.
Not bad.
You're muted, Craig. One more time.
That's your hypothesis.
Right. Where is Rilla right now? I'll have to think about that. Cool. And yes, so thank you for that. So it does mean, so at this point, you've got a week forward of trying to figure see how your dad does, which fortunately, because you live with the guy, should be easy to observe.
Mm-hmm. When I look at him now, like with Mage Sight, trying to observe his face.
If you wish.
Do I see like a section of it that's...
I imagine with just Mage Sight, you are able to see the Fate spell that you have cast on him, which looks in my head like a little shiny, especially where Acanthus, right? Shiny silver, like wrapping around this section of future possibilities that look like they've been reinforced. Not that one has been picked so much as the options there are protected, though protected is probably not the right term because that's shielding, but that have been reinforced clearly. Ooh, actually, if we're talking about threads, now you have these silvery veins within the threads and fabric that have made them more robust. And just real quick, looking over Isabel's thing, the 2 reach is duration and instant, I imagine.
Mm-hmm.
We'll roll that paradox. Wah, wah, wah. No problem.
Contain it.
And then that's 3, 1, 6 dice.
Mm-hmm. 3 successes.
Cool. All right. We'll jump back over to that observation here. And actually, are you checking the chest, basically?
Yeah, it's a concentration spell.
Mm-hmm.
So it's literally just little knocks, maybe like knocking underneath their beds and stuff like that.
Oh, okay, cool. Technically, and I'm not going to care because it doesn't matter too much, the only actions you can take are reflexive while doing concentration. Like it's far more than D&D concentration. Yeah. In this case, I'm not going to stress about it because like all you're doing is knocking. Technically, you could ask Hayward to knock for you, and
That's fair.
so I'm not going to stress about that. But okay, cool. I will start to think about where that goes, and we jump over to Baba Sarah and Legba as you guys step from that memory, kind of shake it off, and you kind of have a bit here where you can kind of influence where you are going now, Craig. In your search to kind of figure out where your daemon is.
I wasn't expecting her to be, or them to be so elusive.
You did show up with a Legba.
Yes.
You ran away last time when they pleaded their case.
No, I ran away when things got on the verge of violence.
They might not have felt that way to them.
Craig, I appreciate Baba Sarah's continual downplayment. And just like, no, you got heated.
Well, why don't we try where it all started?
Let's.
Where are you thinking?
Oregon.
I mean, specifically what?
The homestead.
Rather, the just memories of the homestead, or a specific event?
Like the night that she woke up after getting shot.
Cool. All right. So yes, we jump over to Oregon, miles and miles away. Have a sneeze. Find it? Okay, we're good.
That's what we call Chipmunk Drew.
Where are we? Do. I love that Craig has Theodosia's whole story right in here. It makes life so much easier. Aha, yes. Okay. Well, it won't be quite a cliffhanger because we'll just skip over the break. But yeah, so you head to Oregon to your awakening, and you find yourself a tad early, wherein you have a bounty hunter, and your Theo's husband, son, Valoja the Younger, and Theo, basically at gunpoint.
Mm-hmm.
And I am imagining this guy with a rifle and a bit of distance back. You guys kind of in his line of fire, as the two of you kind of arrive on the scene. Ethereal, not actually part of the scene, and again we have that whole option of, well, we can watch it play out, or get involved.
The fact that this is different than what I was targeting suggests to me that she's here somewhere.
Hey, technically she's everywhere, to be out of character clear, but yes.
So Theo turns and says that to Legba. I was planning to be here after this, but
why?
Because this is before my awakening. I thought I would go to the source of where all of this began.
She was with you before then.
Yeah, I guess that's not really true, right? She would have been with me before, even though neither one of us really knew it.
That's right.
Any other figures that we don't recognize?
No, I mean, this is
just
right out of your memory. Yeah.
And the bounty hunter? Yeah. He was looking for my mother. She's been dead several years by this time, and didn't like the answers we gave him.
Why did you give him those answers and not others?
I was giving him the truth. That
Why
she
did you
was
give
dead.
him the truth?
I didn't feel that I had a lot to bargain with. And my family was at risk.
I understand that it's rather mute at this point, and I wouldn't, of course, attempt to suggest there should have been a different outcome. But what do you think would have happened if you had lied to him?
I thought about it, about offering to take him to her and just to get him away from the farmstead. But events developed that overtook any plans I kind of had. He got closer.
Real
Go
quick, out of character, because you guys are deciding to discuss. We're going with and we're watching the scene play out in front of you. But yeah, feel free to kind of talk as you were, because that's exactly what would happen. Is okay, we've got to watch this play out and discuss. And yeah, you could actually, in this case, Craig, kind of narrate.
So he comes a little bit closer, and he doesn't believe anything that Theo is saying. Everybody's terrified, and as he gets closer, her son makes a dash, and that flash of movement just sort of triggers everything that happens, and it's all over in seconds.
Yeah.
And then Theo is just sort of alone in a space, and then slowly becomes aware, and you can see the lead tower in the background, and all that stuff from Stygia. So Theo was one of the first to go down because she went to interrupt and try and protect her son. So she doesn't know everything that happened after that.
Sometimes we do have memories of events even after we've fallen, because our senses don't immediately stop, even though shock is set in and we're not entirely conscious. Would you like me to help you recall that which you don't know you have?
Oh, that is an interesting thought that never occurred to me. I don't know what happened after I was shot.
But maybe they do.
Maybe they do. Yes.
Thank you, Chris.
Yeah.
So, all right.
As you guys are, because I'm totally stealing that from you, Ralph, rather than because I was like, ooh. So you watch, and I think for Theo, for Babasera, this is the first time you are seeing stuff, and where up until the flash, right, the first shot that hit Theo, all that was crystal clear. Like that, one of the most traumatic memories in her life. Absolutely clear.
Seared into the engrams by the adrenaline, and
Oh yeah. The moments that follow are like a fog rolls in over this scene. Not a literal physical fog, but spots where you can't quite see things, sounds getting, muffled. And I would go so far as, especially because this is kind of Legba's thing, specifically with mind magic and stuff, you recognize this is the bits, this is all that's left of the kind of memory that she's got, because let's be honest, she was in shock, catatonic, well, actually ends up catatonic. So you have these bits and flashes of bit of motion, seeing, a rifleman fire again, and all you get there is the flash, and then suddenly sounds, screams, sobbing, because we're playing close to one of my veils here, and screams, sobbings, sudden quiet, footsteps in gravel, and then sounds of basically the because it'd probably still be a cart, right, Craig, that you guys were living out of?
Well, a wagon, but yeah.
Yeah, thank you. Being basically ransacked, doors opened, stuff being pulled out, thrown about, and at that point, that's when the memory ends, and we have probably wrong, definitely the wrong era, but the whole scene kind of goes black, and we have Finn, come up as that all fades, and you can feel Stygia rising up around you, but that doesn't actually form, and you're kind of left in this video playback pause of the memory ended. There's obviously another chapter that's not here, and yeah, so you're kind of paused there, and there is a voice from the darkness, where you're sitting in this kind of limbo, and it is following with, as Theo was just as confused, it is a amalgamation of voices, having now, actually I think for Legba's perspective, having now heard a number of these different voices, you recognize Velosia the Elder, you recognize Jonathan Stokes, you recognize Luca's young voice, and there is another small female voice that you've never heard before.
Ooh, cool.
But you can quickly figure out who, and so you're recognizing these voices of Theodosia's past, and it's sorrowful and pissed. This is very haunted ghost kind of territory, and it's just like, this can't keep happening. You have the power.
I know, and it's a powerful temptation.
Enright's going to do something. Warner, Ike, one of them.
Maybe.
So strike first. No maybe about it. It'll be a terrible accident. The whole mansion just collapses down around them. Oh no, the Enrights. The town will be just fucking fine. Which is terrible to hear young little Luca dropping an F-bomb.
We should swap daemons.
How is that any better?
Because it doesn't happen to us.
We both know the pain that my mother went through, and she would still stay the possessive, because in her mind, this daemon has no connection to Velosia.
Right.
How would making other people feel the pain that my mother felt?
Why do
the
you
spiritual
keep caring?
injury.
Why? No. Why do you care? They're not you. They're not Velosia. I mean, Catherine's all right.
Ooh.
So Theo takes a breath.
And look at Legba. See what I'm talking about?
And like, you can see her physically getting a grip on her anger.
Astrally.
Yes. I'm not going to become somebody who goes around inflicting spiritual injuries on the people around me.
All right. Don't injure them. Kill them.
And then their
At this
families.
point.
So, you know what? I just had this great idea. Brilliant idea. See, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I keep talking about killing them, but that ends them. And then there's no chance for redemption and all these things that you want to do. So you know what we can do instead? Let's just take their souls. We'll just pluck them out. We can put them in jars up with all the other stuff we have in the lab. And they can earn them back when they behave.
And Legba would see Theo like physically wince because she's had this idea.
Where do you think it came from?
and also wants to do that, but no, because I'm making a choice.
You're choosing to be weak. I get
I
it.
am choosing to leave the world better than I found it. I'm choosing to not make someone else walk the path that I had to walk.
Okay, so it's the world is better because Warner Enright is still in it. A rich man owns the whole town. Oh yeah,
And
we need him around.
No, we don't.
See?
And I hate that he's there. I really do.
All right, so let's just start with Warner. Just have a little heart attack. We can just nudge him just off the mortal coil. Ike can take over, and we'll see how Ike does. Because that's going to be a lot better.
Because it doesn't stop there, and you know it doesn't stop there.
Who cares? Who's going to come stop you? You already told all the Diamond Order folks to buzz off. Legba, by the way, thank you for that. It was really helpful. Actually,
Legba.
I'm debating if the daemon would call him Legba or Cloak. Probably Legba.
He introduced himself as Legba before, but it's up to you what the daemon says.
Right, because
now.
the daemon has all her memories and knows.
Of course, yeah, completely.
But I think.
I wasn't trying to object, just saying, you know.
Yeah, I think
as a
Legba,
reminder.
Yeah, because especially you're here astrally. Yeah. Yeah, thanks for running them off because, Sears, they're gone. The Diamond Order idiots, those are gone. There's nobody here. It's just the five of you. And I mean, let's be honest, it's really only the four of you. Rilla does whatever you guys tell her.
Well, to be fair, it's the 10 of us. You're a part of this too.
Oh. Okay.
You are not just a passenger. You are trying to help Theo.
Absolutely. Preach it. Yes.
You're trying to help her do what you think she wants to do.
Yep. What she should do. Thank you. Yes.
And he turns to Theo and says, you would not hear her. Actually, it's this mix. You would not hear them tell you that you should kill Warner unless you wanted to kill Warner. You would not hear them tell you that Warner is likely going to do things unless you believed it. And you would not be worried that bad things are going to happen to your family. Or sorry, they would not warn you about bad things happening to your family unless you were still, and then you hear the resonance of this next word. He says, still anchored to the idea that it is necessarily going to happen again. Remember, Elliot, you don't have to live like that, and neither do they.
And I think that's where we're going to go on our break. That way Craig can get a good reply again. Craig, pull out your notes, start typing, get that, get your monologue.
And I'm also
going.
happy to make an expression roll if that's relevant. Mm-hmm. Okay, make that real quick, so then I can see what happens during the break. Cool. Legba is earnestly trying to influence both of them to think positively and heed the import of his words. So there we go. Add a willpower. And you got 3.
So
That's pretty good.
Not exceptional.
Yeah,
but that does it.
Without playing and without having set up doors or anything like that, you know, Craig, you can take that as a, you know, he got a good speech. He's got some points there, and we can play that out however you wish. But
Cool.
The daemon definitely goes, yeah, this is what I'm talking about. Yeah, if I think it, you think it. So, but yes, we're going to go on a quick little break. I need more coffee for my skull.
Sounds good.
And yeah, Twitch guys, back in 5 minutes. Go, you know, get up, move, do some jumper jacks. YouTube guys,
Hydrate.
yeah, blink. Yay, okay. Yeah, that sounds good.
Thanks, folks.
And
missed you.
immediately I start dropping frames. The fuck?
People of Cascade, it is time for you to wake up and realize the truth of the city you live in. Neither the FSA nor Fulga Tech care about you. The brain implant Cascade gives you for free is just a leash on your mind. Where you see a new beginning of the horrors of the Aberrant War, Fulga Tech sees a chance to control you when you're at your weakest. And this video game, Terror Surge, is only part of their plan. Last year alone, in 2083, nearly 90% of the citizens of Cascade have played it. It's an addiction, not an escape. Don't you see it's nothing more than a new opiate to the masses? We need to.
Yeah. Are we good? Chat?
You guys,
Are we back?
can you hear us? We're back. Sorry, we dropped the stream there for a minute.
And Noctis has been back. Okay. So, when... Oh, yes, Craig, your, whatever, what was that? Reply. the words to, Legba's expression roll.
Yeah, this is hard. Because you can't logic somebody into giving a shit about other people.
I don't know. Sometimes you can.
You can try.
Right, and
Yes,
one thing,
you can.
yeah. One thing I do want to try and, throw at you is, and because Legba brought it up, but out of character, I don't necessarily know that it's true, is the fact that the daemon represents a part of you and not necessarily all aspects of you. So the giving a fuck about somebody else may literally not be in your daemon. So you may have to go about it other ways. You may literally not be able to logic it up and bring it up or anything like that.
And remember, Legba did say to you, Theo, that you need to care about Warner.
Mm-hmm.
It was an expression to both you and the daemon, but was directing his attention to you.
Yeah, the interesting thing here is that Theo really doesn't want to. Just doesn't want to, but is choosing to. So there's a moment of quiet, and then Theo says, "You asked me who's going to stop me. I am. All that you're saying, I feel it and I know it, and I want to force the world to be the way I want it to be, but then I'm no different than the people who did that to my mom."
So you're just gonna let people walk over you. You're not gonna.
No, I'm not. I'm going to stand up against the Enrights. I'm going to be there to oppose them. I'm going to be there to push them to be more egalitarian.
You've opposed them for a year. What have they done? They build apartments that the miners can rent. They're still selling land in Purgatory Bluff that they own. Now, there's no physical aspect there, but you can hear the air quotes. What has it done? An entire year. You're now the Widow Stokes, and you take care of the graveyard.
And I'm going to take a couple liberties with the narrative here. He's also charging the miners half of what he was going to do. He's aware that there's a sentiment against his profiteering in the town, and he's being more careful and more thoughtful about the decisions that he makes, because he knows I'm going to call him on his bullshit, and there's going to be people that listen to me, And if the people in this town don't follow what he says, then he's nothing he can do about it. So he needs to work with them. That's the things that we've done and what we've been here. And he has no control over anyone on the other side of the river.
That works for now. Warner, okay, half for Warner. What's Ike going to do? Ike doesn't care. Ike doesn't care about any of these people. Ike has grown up thinking that this entire town is his. What do you think's going to happen then? Warner at least thinks he's some lord with a fief. Ike is going to be a kid with toys.
And if that happens, I'll be there. I'm not going to let anyone enslave anyone around me, including me.
How far are you going to let it go then? You know, what's the line? When do you stand up? When do you stop them? Ike hires some more guards, because he's paranoid, or just because he's doesn't trust anybody, hires enough guards, pays them enough, outnumbers the town, outguns the town. He already outguns the town now. Or are you going to have the townsfolk line up and sing songs and just win him over as they let loose like the Boston Massacre?
I mean, we weren't there, but we heard about it. The revolution in Mexico. These things happen, and if it comes to that, maybe it'll come to that. But we can also turn all their guns into freaking broomsticks.
Right in front of everybody. You know what that's going to do to us? But due to reality?
If it has to happen that way.
See?
But it can be even more subtle, right? Bad ammunition. But my point is, I'm not going to enforce my will on anyone. I'm going to stand up against Enright. And I'm going to make sure he's making decisions that are good for the town, not just for him. And if that little shit of his kid starts getting uppity, I'm going to be there to teach him some humility. But I'm not going to take somebody else's will away from them. I'm not going to force them to do what I want them to do just because I want to and I can. I'm not going to be what my mother had to deal with.
You don't have to be. You can be better. Imagine if you took over the town and you were in charge. Nobody else would be able to do this kind of thing. You would be the one setting the rules. We would have control. Nobody could do anything because you're in charge. You're there. Everybody knows. They can go to Theodosia and everything. She'll take care of it all.
We tried to do stuff when we first got here by ourselves. And we didn't get anywhere near what we wanted to do. We weren't able to do the things that we wanted to do. We weren't able to accomplish the stuff we did until we started working with others.
Sure. I mean, Legba's here. Legba just told you. We got stuff we can do. We can take over. We can control. Legba doesn't like Warner either.
In that respect, I should speak for myself.
Oh, come on. You don't like him.
He has treated me kindly. I don't like what he represents. And I've had to learn the hard way that when you treat somebody exclusively based on the role they have, it puts them in a challenging position. It restricts the opportunities for them to exhibit something other than that. We make assumptions, and it makes us less willing to accept information that might contradict our first impressions. Remember, when you and I first met, you were quite hostile to me. And I made it clear to you that I respected you and I would not return unless there was explicit permission. I kept my word. And I bet that, despite your concerns about Warner Enright, and even about Ike, that there are ways to get assurances that the bad things you think might happen won't. Imagine, and then Legba opens his hands up. There's the cane in his hand. He steps away to paint a picture. And he starts twisting his hands through the fog that might be still around in order to sculpt it and provide a visual image. Imagine a future wherein we are all in different positions of authority and respect in the town. Sheriff Isabel is working in concert with, perhaps, Mayor Theodosia. There are rules, there are laws. There is a pact we all, as townsfolk, have agreed to make sure that we protect each other and avoid exploitation as a consequence of the power dynamic of wealth. I'm certain that Warner would adhere to this, provided it were delivered in the right way. And I'm absolutely certain, despite the concerns that both of you have about Ike, that he would be receptive to reason, and that he is currently embroiled in a battle with his own daimon that is influencing his actions in ways we don't like to see, and he ultimately does not enjoy either.
So what? We're gonna come up. We're gonna tell Warner. We're gonna convince Warner to sign Purgatory Bluff's Magna Carta.
I'm going to suggest that you abandoned the defensive sarcasm you've presented to me and to Theo so frequently. You're hurting, and you've been through a lot. The worst. You are the only representation of the voices of her past. Even the one who is still alive cannot speak anymore, so she can only hear you in here. And that is a prison and a death in and of itself. And yet, when you bring to her mind these important ways that she can resolve her own frustrations, she seems not to listen. And you feel as though she's dismissing your motivations and your investment in her well-being and your own. What I mean is this. I mean that the future is bright. I mean that many ways are open and can be opened. I mean that we are at a crossroads. And if you are there with her, you can guard it so that you go in the direction that you both desire, wherein no one in your family suffers harm ever again. And you do not have to oppress others by imposing your will upon them without their consent.
I think after Legba's comment, the voice reduces down to just Valosia's.
Ooh.
Yeah. And says, Mom, if Warner's in charge, he can do whatever he wants. I can do whatever they want as long as they're in charge. Just remember that. And
They're not in charge, though.
I mean, nobody stands up to him. I mean, you argue with him, but he decides whether or not he's going to come down in price on the rent. He decides, how much the miners are going to get paid. He decided to let the Maroons stay and work in mines. He has all the power, and we can argue all we want, Mom. But at the end of the day, he's in charge. As long as that's true, as long as we have to negotiate with him, we'll never be safe. And you can hear, with that last word, the semblance of her departing.
Mm.
Theo looks like she's been in a battle.
Yep. Do we want to put a pin in this? Oh, go ahead.
That was about as productive as last time, though it didn't get as heated with you being here. So I'm grateful for that.
I'm grateful to have witnessed and participated in such an intimate conversation. And it has also taught me some things about the role I need play in all of our lives and the lives of the townfolk. I realize that you certainly aren't the only one warring with their daemon or struggling with their inner demons. And I want to be able to help. I think I know how to do this.
How?
I think, well, I think Isabel needs help. But I'll say no more. Back to you. What outcome do you desire at this point? Do you want it to be just the voice of your daughter who speaks to you? Do you want all the voices to be quieted?
I've learned that when she speaks with that voice, it's to manipulate me. It's not genuine. It's not. I feel like she wants it all to be her way. We have to find a way to work together because we're kind of stuck together, aren't we?
Well, there is something you could do which would be incredibly traumatic. I do not recommend it.
The hardest part in all this is that I agree with her so much.
That's the problem. This isn't about her or them. And when you think of it that way, it becomes you putting off something you need to come to terms with. You want these things. You're unwilling to believe that the future could be different. They are just stating what is residing in your psyche, and you will not abandon.
Is it that simple?
It is that simple. It is not that easy. Not to imply that you consider them synonyms, but some do. So it is simply a matter of accepting what they're presenting to you or changing your perspective on it. However, doing so is not trivial.
You can do those sorts of things, right? Edit somebody.
Can I? I have the power. Will I? Absolutely not.
And I don't know that I would want that either.
I'm grateful that I've gotten to this point without exercising those powers. Otherwise, I would have gone down a very different path. And I don't think Legba would have bestowed his mantle upon me. But you can do it. And it is not editing. It is shaping.
What I want to do is negotiate, but she's so intractable.
Therein lies the problem. Your perspective is that she is intractable, that she won't relent and accept what you want. You are one and the same. The reason why you cannot argue her into a particular position is that when your perspective changes, she shifts her perspective and tries to help you achieve what you now desire. despite the apparent manipulative nature of her using Veloja voice, it is just the case that it reaches you, it touches you. It's something you want to hear and you deeply desire.
She also knows where I'm weakest. I know you talk about like we're the same, and I know in some ways that's true, but in some ways it's not. I also really don't want to be the monster who would exert their will over. I choose not to be that. I choose to not walk that path. And there isn't any of that in her. Maybe
You
this
have
is
to
just
not
something I have
want
to
it.
live with, right?
No. You have to not want it.
That'll be hard.
Release your servitor. That would be a good first step. And then invite them into service later.
Release my servitor.
You have a wolf.
Oh, yeah. Okay. But what would that do?
What I mean is that is an example of you being willing to force creatures to do things.
But it's not a creature.
The perspective is what matters. It is not a creature to you. She is suggesting that the people in this town do not deserve your respect. Because deep down, you also don't think they do, and you are restraining yourself. It should be a relaxation into the recognition that others deserve their own agency. It cannot be you persisting in a state in which you're restraining yourself from exercising that which you think is right to avoid the problems.
What I rail against is Enright's view that he has authority over others. That's what I disagree with on a fundamental level. I don't necessarily want him dead. I don't want to see his soul sucked out, stuck in a jar somewhere. I don't want to disrupt the lives of him and his family. I do want him to see that he's no better than anyone else.
Why?
Because he's not. Social custom teaches people the lie that somebody that has more money is somehow better, or wealth and power become merit, and that's not true.
Do you know his view? Have you talked to him about this?
No.
Going to get into the Enright Stokes dialogues.
But you can see that there's a base assumption that he operates under in the way he addresses people.
He has a different cultural background. There are many possible explanations for his behavior, actions, and choices. And everything you've said is based on your assumptions of him. And the only way you're going to come to peace with what you want to happen in your interactions with him is if you understand him. Is if you base your interactions and your choices on the things he says and believes, so that your daemon knows him rather than him as just a constructed archetype.
I guess that's true. Them know the world by my perceptions of it, right?
Yes.
That is very clever. Like that.
My daemon taught me that.
We're going to put a pin there. And jump over because we cast a spell. Let's go figure out where we get with the searching for Hayworth's stuff. And there goes stupid cursor. You were going to check, Chris, sorry, to clarify who we're talking with. You're going to be checking the chest, and you said under like the floorboards? Okay. And any other spots that you're thinking of looking at, or just starting there and progressing?
I mean, just generally around the area of their bunks and stuff.
Okay, cool. Yeah, definitely go ahead and roll a at presence.
With
Thank you.
Plus,
plus your
3.
potency was, yeah, thank you.
or, sorry, yeah, 3. So, I'll spend a willpower on this.
Put on your detective hat. Well,
Well, you know,
12 dice, 3 successes. And I will definitely...
statistical.
Huh?
Statistical. Ish.
Yeah.
Good enough.
Okay, definitely good enough. And we'll definitely consider that the first pass of a couple different things. So yeah, the quick check of the chest, which itself under just a physical appearance thing, you can tell like there's no space here. There's no surprisingly thick bottom or something like that. So those are quickly checked, at least among Hayward stuff, because
Sorry, you had me at surprisingly thick.
right, I knew what happened there. Obviously, you'll have to wait until John gets back to actually properly check his chest. But yeah, under the floorboards, kind of knocking on that, some of the sections of walls to see if there's like a loose plank, stuff like that. Hayward's section, it's all robust. As you're doing this, there are definitely some folks who are trying to sleep. But for many of them,
sorry about it.
Yeah, I mean, for every one of them, they're kind of used to. There's always noise in here. Right. For the most part, people tend to talk in whispers and kind of low voices because everybody at one point or another is trying to sleep in here. So there's a little bit of courtesy to your neighbor. But checking around his stuff, everything seems fine. He's not hiding anything, at least in that initial section. Cross over to where John's bunk is, start knocking on some stuff there, obviously bypassing his chest because it's not empty, and under the floorboards, and there's a floorboard section, especially knocking on it alone you can hear, but then it also shifts under the wrap of your hand. Wrap of your knuckles, I guess.
What do you mean? It shifts.
The
Like
moves.
it's
Wood moves.
loose.
Oh, sorry. I thought you were saying the sound of the hollow place was moving. It's like, okay.
It's heartache.
Yeah.
Yeah, heartache's
Pluck it
back.
Just went to the barracks.
Like pull out a little
Knife.
I mean, decent sized knife and like try and pry it up a little bit.
At this point, especially as soon as you like pull a knife and start to work some stuff, Hayward, gets a little like, uppity and starts, hey, whoa, hey, see this is what, and immediately it.
Shut up.
Sorry, man. Yeah, so
I'm doing you a favor. To not make my job harder.
yeah, so quickly what had been definitely was going to be a scene and people start to crowd. There's a lot of looking over, and the shut up definitely gets especially considering people sleeping, comes across more as courtesy to others kind of shut up than necessarily.
Yep.
Yeah. And so yeah, he ends
To everyone else, it seems a perfectly polite sort of thing to have been said. To him,
Right.
It is meant to put him in his place. But
and so he ends up like kind of sitting down on one knee, kind of leaning over, trying to see what you're working. The floorboard comes up, and it's it's a sizable floorboard, aligned beneath the bunk. Sliding that open, and yeah, I guess there's enough room for you to like get your head under there, but it's a dark, space. Put your hand in it.
Just gonna real quick drop my hearing spell and try and concentrate. Let's see if there's anything alive in there.
Nice.
1 + 2 + 2 is 5 dice. Just gonna do it.
That's fine. Yep. Just a little ping. Yeah, no problem.
1 success.
Yeah, there's nothing in here but pain. No. But yeah, putting that little and I imagine it just kind of I'm
just reaching.
Well, and for me, just kind of going off the petrichor thing, you have this little moment of electrostatic.
Yeah.
I don't even know that petrichor would know, but eels or fish and stuff like that.
Sure.
Where it's is there anything else in here? And yeah, there's no living things, of any notable size.
Sure.
And so yeah,
No
with that,
badger.
hand reaches down a little bit more, and you hear and then feel and hear at the same time a little nudge of bottles, kind of clinking together, and then there's some kind of linen cloth. Oh, that's a bag with some irregular shapes in it. You can't quite tell what. And then what feels like a wooden box without actually being able to see what it is, but it's yay big.
I'm yanking stuff.
Okay, yeah. So out come bottles of booze, whiskey, some fairly
Empty or full?
in all of them have at least some level,
Some gone.
right? Some of the stuff is hey, this is good stuff. You definitely recognize one bottle as this has got to have come from Enright's place. This is some good stuff, especially having worked at the tavern. It's we don't stock
Right.
this.
Right.
The bag comes out next. Just gonna stash that to the side, and then the wooden box, which as you pull it out is a well carved and decorated little box, and that being the last thing out. Kind of peek open, and it is a music box.
Oh, wow.
A little open it up enough to see what it is, and close it. No,
Sure.
and then the bag itself contains
What's in the bag?
cartons of cigarettes. Oh my gosh. Well, actually, would it be cartons of cigarettes? We have that back? Yeah. No.
Probably
Yeah.
not.
It's probably just tobacco.
Rolling tobacco.
Right. Tobacco.
Yeah.
Rolling tobacco.
And papers and stuff.
Snuff cans.
Snuff cans, definitely. And then wads, literal rolls of bills, and then a couple things of I guess literal coin
Coins.
purses of some different currencies. Easily, just a quick glance, well more than what Hayward said had been stolen from him. So there's something definitely beyond what was going on there.
You said that a couple people were now nearby.
Yeah, I mean, there's a couple of people who looked over, but after the shut up, and most people are at this point. You're the sheriff, and you're in here looking around, so there's some
Right.
glancing over, but nobody is close enough to see what you basically have sitting at the floorboard space.
Sure.
So nobody can necessarily see anything. He's getting a little agitated and eyes wide. He's there's some bullshit happening here. But he doesn't call out or anything, because clearly he recognizes this is more than his shit.
Mm-hmm. You said that. So John is working on Furnace's shift right now, right?
And in the next, at this point, 45 minutes to an hour will be done.
Sure. I'm gonna sit right here until Mr. Furnace is done with his shift. And then a little bit louder. I would kindly ask one of you fine gentlemen to bring him and Jonathan, was
John.
it? Over this way. I don't know if any of this is yours, Hayward. but all signs point to the fact that I don't think a miner's wages affords any of these.
Yeah, like you can see Hayward. At this point, Hayward. This is a win for Hayward, right? Whatever goes next, he's sure his money is in there. But whatever, John's getting fucked. So he,
just out of character-wise, how long has John been working at the?
John's been here at least more than a year. Like John,
Okay.
John at this point is kind of one of the old hands.
But he hasn't been here for several years.
But Isabel would not know.
Okay.
Because I don't know that Isabel necessarily has a photographic memory of all the miners.
Craig was just asking.
Longer than Isabel?
Craig was asking for a friend.
What was that, Craig?
Craig was
sorry.
asking for a friend.
Right. Sorry, what was that, Chris?
I mean, if he is at least semi-regular at the tavern, she'd know.
Mhm.
And if he would, so basically,
Oh yeah, I guess
I
it's
just wanna
true.
know
Yeah, but,
before or after she arrived.
definitely before she arrived. But yeah, that's
Sure,
true
okay.
actually, because he would be down there regularly.
Right.
And
Right.
conversation-wise, he's been here a year or two. Yeah,
Right.
enough to be on first shift, if nothing else.
Sure.
So yeah, one of the other guys is like, yeah. Oh, me? Yeah, okay. And
Grab Marina if you would too. I know she'll be upset to be awakened, but you have my apologies that you will be the bearer of bad news for that.
you see, the first guy who started to turn, he gets pulled back, and there's a sudden rock, paper, scissors over who goes where. And the one guy, like, clearly off to the hangman's gallows, and the other guy to go chat with Furnace. And so, yeah, about, I think probably right at, like, 45 minutes, a little bit before the shift actually ends, Furnace shows up with, John Quayman, and Furnace.
What do these two guys look like, by the way?
Hayward is, like I said, 50s, English American, kind of ancestry.
Stocky, round.
Mhm. Yeah, the very, like. Hayward definitely looks like a guy who has worked his entire life,
Right.
and generally speaking has like aimed for health, though maybe not necessarily for health reasons, but
By
just
our
being.
modern standards,
Yeah. When John shows up, also looks like a guy who works for a living, but while younger, looks older. Definitely
Been some rough years.
rough years, definitely the kind of guy who works all day, drinks all night, and just has definitely lived life. And Furnace kind of shows up. Actually, at this point, probably Marina has already been there, and I imagine you're like, I'm not talking about anything until everybody's here, kind of thing.
Right. I mean, once Marina's there, basically ask everyone to clear out, as annoying as that is.
Yeah. Okay. Put one of those like minus reputation. Nobody liked this things for the sheriff. Yeah, but Sheriff Isabel doesn't care. Something is up. Yep.
I mean, there's a good possibility one or more people is going to get very upset here in just a minute, and I'd rather not have people in the way when that happens.
Sure. So yeah, everybody, kind of clears out. A couple guys have to get woken up, and they're like, "What? I was sleeping. I just got, whatever." And so everybody's sitting out at this point, 6:00, and Marina is there sitting on a bunk, and watching you. And I imagine Sheriff Isabel gives the shrug, not saying nothing. Hang on.
I mean, I'd start filling her in a little bit. Specifically, I want Hayward's out of there too.
Oh, okay.
Like it's just me and Marina.
Okay. And so you give her a little rundown of his wages are missing. Yeah, which Marina goes as you expect, full mama bear. It's like, well, where are they? Yeah, that John, he's an asshole. Definitely immediately taking Hayward's side.
Okay.
Furnace shows up with John Quayman and a couple other, like the first shift guys, and you have to do that. Hang on, just them two. Everybody stay out. And imagine Sheriff Isabel did.
Just a few minutes, folks. It'll be, a big smile. Like,
Okay.
I'm so sorry to trouble you. And
Put
all
the
that.
waitress face on for a second.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's really easy to go back and forth between those. You just gotta, it's just a slightly alter every time.
And yeah, Furnace kind of looks at you, and I imagine you're sitting on John's bunk kind of thing. Or just standing in that space.
Just standing in that space, yeah. With the bag in my hand, specifically.
Okay. Yeah. Immediately, John's eyes are wide, seeing the bag. Furnace looks curious. This is all out of the ordinary. And as soon as the door shuts, as Furnace is walking over, and John's steps lag a little bit behind.
John, come on in.
Well, what's this about, Sheriff? As like Furnace is taking a moment to recognize that you're in that capacity.
Well, your bunkmate here. And point over to Hayward's bed. No, I understand. I've heard through the grapevine y'all don't get along. He's been casting aspersions on where his missing wages might have gotten to. Okay.
Furnace kind of gives John Quayman a look. John, coated in dirt and grime, is just like, I ain't saying nothing, arms crossed kind of position, right?
No. Warner's boys, they said they came in here, they checked mattresses, pillows, checked chests, that sort of thing. But I had a feeling maybe they didn't do the best job. So I started poking around a little bit more, knocking around, found a hollow underneath John's bed.
Yeah, at this point, like, Marina gets up, Furnace looks over, can see the hollow. I imagine a little move of the bunk and the mattress, so it's very visible.
So, now, I'm not saying that any of this money in this bag is Hayward's. I don't know that I could prove that. What I can prove is that, John, based on your habits of spending down at the tavern and how much money I know you folks make up here working, you got some mighty fine whiskey and a whole lot of money stashed up in here.
Immediately the head shake. No, that's never seen it. Not mine. I don't know what that is. You can take it. It's not mine.
Insight.
You don't mind if I take it?
I've never seen it before. I ain't losing anything if you take it.
None of these bottles of whiskey matter to you?
I mean, I
some good stuff.
I prefer the stuff that they have down at the tavern.
Yeah, no, you like to come see me, but you do always order a cut above.
Oh, sure, I like good stuff, but
pay for the good stuff, right? And I don't suppose this music box means anything to you?
Like immediately full toxic masculinity, like music box. I don't need a music box. Frou women-y bullshit. But you do know that a music box also probably goes for a pretty penny.
Yeah. Man, I want to cast magic on this motherfucker so bad.
Yeah, big question is it necessary? Is it worth it? Yeah.
No. I think like all this role playing and stuff and a little bit more here, leading to like manipulation subterfuge to try and get him to like trip up over his words or contradict himself or whatever.
Sure. Yeah, I like that. Minus. Trying to think of how much resolve he's probably got. Probably 2.
Two successes.
Cool. Yeah. So yeah, there's a lot of but I spend all that money down at the tavern. If I had all this stuff, why would I go spend money at the tavern? If this stuff was sitting up here. But there's, it's like, okay, well, sure, but you're not at the tavern every night. And notably, every time he's down at the tavern, he's also playing cards.
Mm-hmm.
He's never just down there drinking. He's always playing cards. And he's not there every night. But also, that's a lot of tobacco for one guy. Right. And so it's like, hang on. Maybe he's not drinking it all himself. And there is a question of, if it was his, where it came from.
Right. John, if you've got anything else to say about any of this stuff, where it might have come from, I'd implore you to start speaking up now, because we can just figure this out right here between the three of us here.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to get serious, but it'd be tough to be hiding stuff underneath your bunk without at least one person seeing. So if I start asking and nobody's got an eyewitness account of somebody prying up floorboards under your bed without getting caught, it's looking pretty one-sided against you, son.
It could be. I appreciate you calling son to a guy who's clearly older.
Exactly.
But he sounds like it's probably Marcus's stuff. The guy who's on the top bunk. Maybe it's Marcus's stuff. I don't know. He's one of those squirrely, third shifters, and immediately Marina's like, "Excuse me." Maybe it's Marcus. Those guys do all sorts of stuff in the middle of the night. Everybody else is sleeping.
It's like wits, subterfuge to see if he's lying.
Yeah, subterfuge or empathy.
Same penalty, or?
Yes, please. Yeah, definitely inconclusive. It could be Marcus. It could still be his.
Do you still have enhanced senses up?
No, he did drop that.
Okay.
But yeah, it's definitely one of those things.
All right. Well, Marina, Furnace, what y'all want to do about this?
Furnace looks at John, looks over to you and says, he's a good worker, and I'm not prone to think he's lying, but he's not lying and he's never seen this stuff, then I guess it just, I don't know. We have a town fund that we can just put all that money to. And the music box is not, Marina, do you want that music box? And Marina kind of gives him a look and says, no, but if it's something that went missing and just ended up under his bunk, maybe drop it off at the general store and see if anybody's missing a music box. Maybe it's Miss Enright's. And she's, she just, how she is. She may have just forgotten where she put it and put it under his bunk.
Yeah. All right. Well, way I'm fixing to resolve this. I'm going to take these $100 and we're going to send Hayward on his way. Marina, you vouch that he's good sort.
Hard worker, never caused a fuss, saved his money. Now he wants to leave, and paid out his wages just the other day. So, personally, I say pat him down, check his stuff before he gets on the boat, just to be sure and all above board, and then hand him $100 that the town owes him, or however you want to put it. So he's set.
Sure. Rest of this, we might go.
You know what? Put it to the school.
Not a bad idea. Not a bad idea.
And you watch Furnace puts his hand round across John's shoulders, and there's the squeeze, and then I'll have a talk with John and just make sure he and Marcus aren't getting up into anything. And
That's fair.
okay. And like
John, I appreciate you being helpful and calm about all this.
You can definitely see on his face, he pissed. He's super pissed, but yeah, he's not saying anything.
I understand a situation like this could put a man in a mood.
Yeah, Furnace nods. Yeah, false accusations, and
Exactly.
we can understand why you're upset, son.
and to do something as down and dirty as hiding it underneath your bunk to try and frame you.
Yep.
And,
Yes, Sheriff.
And it's just like whiskey's in the bag, taking the music box, and
Over the shoulder,
Swoop.
in hand. Yep. And Marina walks with you while you hear, Furnace and John start to talk. It's low, intense whispers, and you guys get to the door. Furnace says, "Hey, you just keep the door shut for a minute." And you shut the door, and the voices get considerably louder. And immediately, all the first shifters, as you guys come in or come out, they're like starting to step in. Then they hear Furnace shouting, and they're like, "We have other stuff to do." Yeah.
And then to like the folks that were sleeping, it's like, I do apologize. I happen to know for a fact that there's going to be some good bottles of whiskey down at the tavern. I'd be happy to treat you fellas all to a couple drinks.
Which, like, there's very drowsy. Yeah, okay, yeah. They're on board for that. And there's a couple of you who are like, you know what? I'm done sleeping, and like walk down toward. So you have this.
Gentlemen, I did not mean this minute. I apologize. You probably should finish off your sleep here in a minute when John and Furnace are done in there.
Fine. And it basically turns to you and Marina heading down into town.
Mm-hmm.
And Marina kind of looks at you and says, "Well, that was handily done. Yeah, whatever."
Well, from one competent woman to another. It's easy if you just know how to... What did she say? What would she say? Know how to handle them right.
Yeah, finesse.
Exactly.
She nods and she says, if you're good and you're going to see Hayward off, well, probably doesn't look at a watch, but in a few hours, I'll leave you to it, and I'm going to go back to sleep."
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
You earned it.
Yeah. And she's out here in dressing gown with a coat pulled over, and so she heads off to the apartment, and you surprise Madame Robert with a bunch of bottles of whiskey. Like I said, there's one that it has got to have come from Enright's place. Do you send that back up?
I'm gonna take that up there myself.
Okay. Cool.
But yeah, some of the cheaper nice stuff, that gets put onto a sort of
the high shelf.
Yeah.
Not top shelf. We get
little community profiteering sort of thing.
Sure. And then what about the music box?
I think I'd take that up to Enright's place as well.
Okay.
First.
Gotcha. Cool. Where are we at? 8:40. Okay. So yeah, okay. I guess we're just gonna. Sorry, Ash. Gisela didn't do too much today. Getting up to the Enright Manor, and dropping off the whiskey with probably actually Warner himself, who looks at it.
It's not Ike.
Huh?
It's not Ike.
That's true. Do you have a preference?
Ike would be fun.
Okay. Yeah. So yeah, coming up, and Ike opens the door. I mean, they have a couple folks who work there, but there's no like butler or anybody like
couple servants and stuff.
Right.
But, yeah.
And Ike opens the door for you. Come on in, Sheriff. And like, because I imagine it's basically a bottle of whiskey and a music box in hand. That's basically it. Yeah. And what can I?
Well, it's probably still in the bag, actually.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Let's.
Oh, we're just solving a little misunderstanding down with a couple of the workers, and and I'll pull out the bottle of whiskey. This is certainly nicer stuff than anybody else in town has access to.
Kind of looks at it, like, touches the bottle just enough to like see the label, and walks over to, the drink cabinet. It's got a small little key to it, opens it up, and touches a spot, nice little dust square around it, and he goes, yeah? Who did it?
Nothing conclusive.
But you've got an idea who did it.
And I'll be working on it, don't worry. But my main focus was making sure property was returned to its rightful owners.
Takes the bottle and puts it up.
Would you happen to recognize this? And pull out the music box. Mightn't be your mother's or anything.
Yeah, takes it, opens it up, winds it up to hear it. If it's my mom's, it's not missing. I haven't ever heard it. But I mean, give it to her.
No, we'll ask around. Might be some other folks. I'll pass it by Anastasio, see if he's got the heard any words on the wind about where it mightn't have come from.
Yeah, if anybody's heard gossip, it's that man.
There's something we can agree on.
Okay, well, I appreciate that, Sheriff. And yes, if the culprit is determined, do let me know. Would hate to know that we have a thief working in the mines.
Yeah, well, your father's folks will make sure that the important stuff doesn't go missing.
Yeah, I just don't like the idea of somebody walking into this house, taking something that's ours.
I get it. Man's property, man's home, it's his bastion.
Absolutely.
His safety.
Actually,
all right, Ike.
Or pause just a second. And he goes, as he's closing the cabinet, kind of pulls it open a second, pulls the bottle out and says, "You want a drink?"
Well, if you're offering a sort of reward for having done a good job and returned to rightful property, then sure. I don't see how I can politely refuse that.
Yep. Pours you a shot, pours himself a shot. It says, to Purgatory
Sip
Bluff.
it. To its future.
To its future. Tosses it back, places it back in, locks it. And find out who did it. Definitely let me know. Then drop off the music box with General Store Anastasio.
Mm-hmm.
Jules is there. So after you're done winking at Ike, go down to see Jules, who you two have a very confused relationship.
Yep.
Which we will not delve into 15 minutes before the end of the show.
Yeah.
But drop that off, speak with Anastasio, explain, oh yeah, this thing showed up. If anybody's, and immediately he's like, think I know who that belongs to. One of our lovely, what do you say, wives, mothers, one of the lovely ladies out in the farms has been lamenting the loss of her grandmother's music box. This might be it. So I'll ask some subtle questions and ask for some descriptions of the item, and kind of plays it.
Yeah.
There's a moment where you, Anastasio, and Jules are sitting here listening, trying to tell if you can recognize the name of the song.
Mm. I imagine Isabel's got the best ear for it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think you probably do without necessarily needing to roll. It's like, oh yeah, it's such and such.
Yeah. Well, y'all ask about and let me know if I can deliver it out to its rightful owners.
Sure. And we'll Anastasio actually puts it in the store's safe, where there are a few other things from town, but because it is like such a communal central thing, like all the what do you say, sentimental valuables that people are concerned about live there.
Mm-hmm.
So it is definitely one of those, like, yeah, if you really want to fuck over Purgatory Bluff, you take Anastasio's safe and proceed to piss off the entirety of Purgatory Bluff.
Right.
A couple like grandparents, wedding rings, but not necessarily diamond rings, but different stuff like that.
Cool.
Like a community safe deposit box.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and it's a big old thing too. So
we want to touch on a little bit of what happens to Gisela's dad?
Absolutely. Which, for that first night, because we're just now getting to him getting off of work, the spell going off after that moment of frustration. But yeah, rest of the night, no weird occurrences, no chairs breaking beneath him, anything like that. And then into the morning, and yeah, immediately nothing happens, which, I mean, there are days like that where nothing happens. So it's definitely on the inconclusive side. But later in the evening, sun has set, dinner has been eaten, and spell cast. You do get a visit from Rilla, who basically comes in to ask you about, so we've been talking about this little, we're gonna call it a hunting trip. You promised to show me how to shoot a rifle.
Yeah, I've been wanting to go a bit further out. Set more snares, see what's out there.
Well, tomorrow's Saturday, no school.
Go take the weekend.
I'm fine with that if Anastasio will let you off the leash a little bit. That's why Jules is there, right?
Yeah, we can convince him.
Between the two of us, we can definitely convince him. She winks, and it's like, oh yes, our feminine wiles work great on Anastasio.
Yes.
And like your mom is there because of course you guys are just having good friendly conversation, and she's like, oh okay, well she mentions she'll get the horse ready in the morning. You guys can take the horse out to at least carry stuff. And while you two walk, some things of that nature, and kind of sit your guys.
And if we have a good trip, we'll need it.
That's true. Yep. And so yeah, you guys kind of make plans for that. Effectively tomorrow. And trying to think. Jumping back real quick to Legba and Babasera. I'm assuming that like after that, you guys kind of have your step out of the Oniros and have a little bit of a cool down chat. And actually, I think some of that conversation that you guys had previously probably actually happens out of your Oniros. Because technically sitting around in the Oniros is, if the daemon decides to get, more violent, you're still kind of vulnerable.
But we can go anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
The advantage of being in astral space is that time is phenomenological. So,
to a point. I mean,
at the speed of thought, you can have a more robust conversation. It doesn't take nearly as long.
that's one of those things I don't know that I necessarily agree with, in the fact that like a conversation is, you have to have that exchange. And even speed of thought still requires some, the back and forth of it. But yeah, it definitely happens faster, for sure, but not necessarily. I went straight to Warhammer 40K. But
I'm not asserting that it happens instantaneously.
Mm-hmm.
Just that if you wanted to have a lengthy conversation and you wanted to reduce its length,
mm-hmm.
it's probably a good idea to go into each other's minds.
Yeah. But yeah, after, because like I said, I imagine that being in the morning. Is there anything you guys jump into that afternoon or evening? Obviously, Theo has to go do, farmstead stuff, go check in on the sheep and stuff. But what about beyond that?
Just general intentions about like ordering an anvil and stuff. Probably going to make a small little blacksmith workshop.
Mm-hmm. A little smith.
back of the house.
Yeah, every little farm needs something where you can do some of your own smithing. Cool.
Yeah, and spending a lot of time thinking about what Legba said.
Mm-hmm.
That was pretty sharp. That was awesome.
Legba, after your doctor's visit there with Baba Sarah.
Yeah. He knows what he needs to do. Now he's reached a point in character where the stuff he's been thinking about sympathy and about understanding and trying to be the opener of ways and stuff, crystallized for him. So he needs to go on an astral journey so that he can help others the way he helped Theo.
At least started helping Theo, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, just providing insight in the context where someone is able to engage their daemon and then act on their own initiative to do things further.
Mm-hmm.
Because he's assuming at this point that maybe Theo might invite him back, but she's probably like, I need to figure out what I need to do. A lot of that is just reorienting my perceptions and then talking to my daemon again on my own.
Cool.
So, yeah, so he needs to go on an astral journey. So what he's going to do the rest of the day is do that.
Cool. Interesting.
I think this is when the transition happens because, you reach a point of increased gnosis when you understand something different, right? And your virtues and vices change. And his virtue and vice for the past year and a half have been protective and dominant, right? And now it needs to become inspiring and protective.
You're
Protective as a vice. I like that.
Yes, exactly.
Yep.
Just overextending.
Welcome to being a helicopter parent.
Yeah. he invited this supernal in, and now he's going to start going into people's Oniroi. So.
Good stuff. Yeah.
Oh no, don't go in Isabel's.
Exactly.
Yeah, I think that's
the
probably-
first one once the legacy
no,
happens.
don't.
Cool. So that about wraps it up for us. If you were, actually, we'll just say thank you all for joining us. As always, we love to have you. If you want to join us and join in the conversation, hang out, talk about your games, talk about our games, talk about how to play Mage, or honestly a whole bunch of other TTRPGs, we have that Discord. www.yeetinto.space. If you don't get the reference, go watch The Rookery, or just ask somebody once you get to Discord. If you also want to support us monetarily, that's patreon.com/occultist anonymous or staylucky.club. We greatly support It's been a day, y'all. We greatly appreciate your support. Thank you very much. If you do want to throw us $1 or $2. And then, yes, when we got hacked there, YouTube guys should have also seen it if I didn't screw anything up. There's a Trinity Continuum Anima stuff going to be showing up on the Onyx Path Twitch stream, which is very cool. basically anime-esque version of Trinity Continuum, which is their big story pass system, which covers, let's see, we've got Adventure for your 1920s pulp stuff. You've got Aeon for some psionic telepathy, spacey stuff. You've got Aberrant for mutants and X-Men stuff.
Novas.
I feel like I'm missing another one.
Homo sapiens novus. It's 3.
Adventure. They've got
Adventure's the 1920s.
Indiana
Yeah, that's the
Jones.
1920s one. I'm trying to remember because it's the whole new stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
And can't remember all of them. But yeah, at this point now it is quickly growing to be their biggest thing. And it's also kind of cool because for OPP, as opposed to like Chronicles of Darkness, which they have to borrow from White Wolf, then with Trinity Continuum, they have full control, so they can do.
There's like a whole meta plot between the different games and stuff too, right?
Yeah, with I think the 1920s has like a explosion from somebody's wacky mad scientist thing that causes people to get talents, and then you have
Knacks. They were called Knacks before.
Yes,
which were the precursors to Nova powers.
Cool.
And builds.
And now you can do anime bullshit.
Now you
And
can
then
do
there was an
anime
explosion
bullshit.
of the Galatea.
More importantly, coming is Assassins, and holy shit, I'm super excited for it.
ASCON.
Yes, but specifically, that's like the John Wick, Assassin's Creed vibe stuff, and
That sounds cool.
I'm so hyped for that. Like, if there's going to be something that we run,
Put it on the pile.
yeah, it's a really tall pile, guys. So, anyways.
Can I hold all these?
Yes, I can hold all these TTRPGs. Yes, the hack was an Onyx Path ad. Hashtag ad, hashtag sponsored, hashtag whatever. Yeah, it wasn't a real hack, guys. We're just really good
What?
actors.
I thought we got hacked.
Yeah.
We're
Hack
fantastic actors.
And depressingly,
Great poker
hack
face.
source.
and depressingly, if any of you thought that was just normal Occultists Anonymous technical difficulties, yeah. So, thank you all for joining us.
So we have problems.
We will see you next time.
Sounds good, everybody. Later.